Good evening, Wolf Nation. This is your captain speaking. And folks, for the first time ever, I am actually the captain. That's right, folks. I am driving tonight. I have the keys. I have the power. I can do anything I want. Oh, look, Joe's annoying me. Bye, Joe. Oh, look at that. I can move you down here and you over here. It's unlimited power. I'm not drunk, I swear. I'm drunk. Driving responsibly. But anyway, it's really cool. Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of the Realmhattan Project. My name is Eric Von Wolfenstein, and we have a full house tonight. All of the pals are here tonight. We have Joe, we have EE Prime, and we have Mr. Gort.
Hello.
Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Tired. Physically tired, but good.
Good to hear.
Mentally beat. Been a long week.
Gord, how you doing?
I'm doing.
Wolfie, how are you doing?
I mean, you got that huge grin plastered on your face, like, because you got the power now, you think.
You know, I like to think I do. But no, this is cool. Thanks. Shout out to people for letting me have keys. You won't regret it, I promise.
That remains to be seen.
It's fine. I will not abuse my power.
Everyone's got to change the password.
I don't want the crew to mutiny on me here. But Joe, how was your week? Anything new? Anything fun going on with you?
Let's see here. Some of my pre-orders are slowly trying to trickle in. I got CoverGirl. I got, let's see here. Hit My Pile of Loot was the Mixmaster. And I think I shared that with the group that the BBTS, the new tariff tax, went from 35 to 40 on that one. It is what it is. Shenanigans at work. You know, that's typically how it is. That's it. But, looking forward to talking to my 3 favorite buddies.
Well, isn't that nice?
If I'm one of your favorite people, then you need to expand your social circle.
Well, right now it's a square. So
I hear him shaking his head. E Prime, what's new, dude?
Nothing much. Just long week. Winding down the end of the quarter for work. It's been a little crazy. Looking forward to the next 2 weeks because I only work 3 days next week and 3 days after that. So, yeah, that's about it.
You have a sick child at home?
Yeah, my son's not feeling well. His school took him on a trip to Jersey.
well, that'll
He
do
came back
it.
with a cold. So, yeah, Jersey swamp.
Jersey flu.
Well, I'm glad he's hopefully going to feel better soon. Gort, what's up, dude?
Let's see, not a whole lot. Had a good week. Finished up some projects, and there's just going to be more of those. And
Right back.
yeah, trying to work with a contractor to come back and redo work that they fucked up at work
At
So
work.
that's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they terminated some cables correctly and incorrectly at the same time. Everything works. It's just a really crappy patch job, so they have to come back and do it again.
Would you expect anything else?
Oh, I knew the work was shit, and I was hoping that it wasn't fully noticed, but it was. So they're gonna come back. It's just because I don't want to deal with it.
Does it affect you, or is it just like in your?
I just have to make time to go fix it with this guy. That's all.
Is it like my job? It's the lowest bidder wins.
This was. I don't know if there was a bid. This was definitely the lowest, though. Like, I can't get into it any further.
No, that's fine.
It's all right. We'll use our imaginations.
Yeah.
Well, if he wants to do with you,
Awesome.
buddy. If Gort's done, I
Oh
won't cut him off.
man, what's that?
If Gort was done, I didn't want to cut him off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very little. I've been hit for a few things this week as well. I got a whole slew of GI Joes coming in. Hopefully, I get that Chase. They just announced that crazy card back cover, and if I don't, we're gonna hear about it in a couple weeks.
So what's the deal with that? Just like, hey, you are a special somebody, and that's it. There's.
I don't know. It came out of nowhere. I mean, that thing's been up for pre-order for months now, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing. It's a special card back, and there's 82 of them, and you might get one, and we'll see what happens." But yeah, we'll see.
I don't.
Yeah,
trust that.
I got hit with a bunch of those. I got some SH figure arts coming. Got a lot of stuff. Thankfully, I had everything money put away for it, so it's not hurting my wallet too badly. So I'm happy to hear that. But I am super excited because 2 weeks from now, I will be in New York City with two of our beloved RHP cast members for NYCC. I'm getting really fired up just thinking about this. I can't wait to rush in, push people over, and grab exclusives. I'm really excited about throwing elbows. It's going to be a good time, but really the con experience in general. I mean, going to New York, it's been a while for me. Crystal's never been, so this will be fun. Looking to hopefully get some good sandwiches. I want EE to take me to a greasy ass bodega.
So, and are you still going to dress up as a cease and desist letter?
Someone has. I need to bring. One of us has to bring a piece of paper and just follow his ass around. If you know, you know. But we won't get into that. But no, man, I'm excited. 2 weeks from now, can't wait. Really excited for that. And that's really all I got going on this fine week. What's up, everyone in the chat squad? I see you, Jeff. I see you, Jedi Mindset, Esteban, all the pals in the chat squad. Good to see you, folks. Thanks for spending your Friday night with us. And we do have a topic tonight. This was Joe's idea, and I need to get up for a minute, so I'm going to let Joe explain it. I will be right back. Joe, I'll leave the floor to you for 1 minute.
For 1 minute. All right, starting now. So this for good or bad, I'm not trying to get into the politics of it, but what it was the controversy with the Cracker Barrel kind of got me thinking. Talking about it, with some people, and I remember my parents going there, and it's one of those things to where I'm like, I'm sure part of the outrage of the change for the Cracker Barrel stuff is, it's or whatever, but I'm sure there's some angle coming from one or both or whatever sides of the spectrum. But anyway, and I thought, well, there's not much left from when we were kids, let alone stuff that are reminders from when our parents were young or even potentially kids. And I remember going into Cracker Barrel, and my mom and my dad talking like, yeah, my dad worked on it wasn't really a farm kind of per se, like a hard, serious, like farm with capital F. But, he's like, oh yeah, I remember having to use that. And I remember this type of gum or that type of soda, like that kind of stuff. And like, you could see, not to be cliche, but, that kind of twinkle in his eye, like him just kind of remembering, when he was younger and those things that are there. And, my dad's in his 80s now. And I remember when I walked into the first Cracker Barrel as a kid, and I'm talking, and it's one of those things like I vividly remember this, and I have no clue why. And I also remember the hotel that we stayed at after because we were on our way to Disney World, and like I remember what it looked like. I remember just to me as a kid, an elementary school age kid, like it was just kind of weird, but whatever. And that has been a part of my life for 20 years or so, or just shy thereof. So that kind of got me thinking about this whole idea of nostalgia and what it means to us, what it means to, our parents with that kind of stuff, how it influences, how it, influences our purchases, what we do, what we watch, what we expose our kids to, that kind of stuff, what makes us feel good on the inside. And does nostalgia just have to be from when we were kids? Um, is there something from nostalgia that is 10 years ago, you know, when I was in my 30s? And then at RetroCon, EE, this will, he can speak to this, but like, you know, he started picking up the Motu. It's not classics. Help me, E.
No, no. You can.
It's the Motu
Origins.
Origins. Thank you. Um, so he started picking those up, and that prompted a discussion of, um, what was it that drew us into these fandoms? Was it the toys that got us into the other stuff? Is it the shows that got us into the toys? That kind of stuff. So, it's a nostalgia based show, the stuff that makes you feel good. And Chat Squad, thank y'all for hanging out and everything. We do appreciate you. So throw in some stuff that you're nostalgic about. Let's talk about that. We can talk about those things too. So, if it's not good, that's my fault. It's on me. But I don't know. It's just I've been in one of those moods lately to where, I just sometimes being an adult sucks. Sometimes dealing with other adults suck, and sometimes it's just nice to sit and think of all the good stuff that we had when we were younger.
All right. Well, what do you
Discuss
got?
amongst yourselves.
Well, give us some examples, Joe. What are you instead?
Well, so I mean, a couple things, right? Not to go there, but how many times has Pepsi changed their logo over the years? How many times have New York Giants changed their logo over the years? I think the Cracker Barrel outrage is just smoke, and most 99% of people really don't give a shit. They just want to bitch. But that's what I'm gonna say about that. The nostalgia thing, yes. So and I was talking with Gort and Dom at RetroCon about this, and my question, like, what is it like? So I'll give everybody on this show is a Transformers fan, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
But what is it? Was it the toys? Was it the show, or is it actually an all-encompassing thing? Was it
Or
the
you're one
comic?
of those sick people, and it's the Marvel comic.
Like what? But what
Could be.
is like when you think about the nostalgia of your Transformers, being a fan, what is it? Is it the show? Is it the cartoon? Is it the comics? For me, for Transformers, it is 100% the show. I had Transformers toys. Um, they were funnish, but even as a kid, I had issues with this doesn't look like Ironhide. Why can't he fucking move? Why is my Ultra Magnus a brick? Like even as a kid, these things did bother me, which is why like figures like Hunger actually had an knee bend, which made him one of my favorite figures just because he had a little more articulation than the others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I think of Transformers, it's the cartoon for me. When I think of He-Man, it is 1000% the toys. When I think of GI Joe, it is the toys. I don't think those particular shows, and this is my opinion. I know people tend to disagree. I don't think GI Joe really held up. I don't think. I know for a fact. I'm sorry, He-Man does not hold up over the years. but I can still, with no problem, watch Transformers without no issue whatsoever, and be fine. Like, so, like, what is it? Well, I'm gonna ask with Transformers, what is it for you guys?
So for me, it's not just it ultimately is the show. That's the short answer. But if I just gave you the short answers, we wouldn't have much. So it's not just the show. It's what I had to do to get the show. Okay. So I didn't have the show growing up. Okay. In terms of like, I didn't sit in front of my TV, watch the new episode or watch it on Saturday morning or whatever. If I wanted to watch episodes, I had to go to my local video store. Now, I grew up in a town that had 3 stop signs and it was about a mile long and it had one little offshoot. Okay. 5 churches. So, in the center of town, we had, like a little hardware store, a little barbershop kind of hair salon place, those kinds of things. So I could walk from my house up to this video store, and it was called Winker's Video. It's no longer there.
Did they have
And
a beaded curtain in the back?
they did. They did. It was a beaded curtain, and it was a little plywood room. And as a kid, I would just run it because they had like the center had the adult DVDs, but they were on a rack like this, and I would just like run and hide in there. It was like a little fort. That's what I was excited about. As I got older, I started noticing other things. But anyway, so it's not just the nostalgia of the toy, not just the nostalgia of the show. When I think about, and this is why I so love the first season. I don't want to say the first 16 episodes, the first season of Transformers, is because that's all I had. Okay, until I got older, and I had the movie, and that was it.
16. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's
We'll
okay.
go there.
It's perfectly okay to laugh at me. I'm comfortable with that. So anyway, it's riding my bike, and I still remember the bike. There's this knockoff BMX with the black grips with the white stars on it that were rubber. I remember going up there. I remember the door creaking when you go in. I remember the little round like price tags about the size of a quarter had a hole in the top. Stuff you see like at Goodwill back in the day or something like that before things got really digital. And you'd go back and have all the cartoons and stuff like that. And I'd be like, oh, what do I want? Which one do I want? Which volume do I want? And take the little tag up and get it, and then going home, and just being excited to watch it again. And yeah, I'm watching SOS Dinobots for the umpteenth hundred time. So, and like I remember the big 80s TV, with the wooden case that you sat on the floor and it had the push button channel 3, channel 4, channel 5 kind of deals, and had the fake drawers on it and all that kind of stuff. And I remember sitting on the living room carpet, and it's like you're sitting too close to the TV. And back in the day when you go blind from sitting too close to the TV and that kind of stuff. And it's all that stuff. It is like don't get me wrong, there's issues in my household just like everyone has issues, but I remember the good stuff. I remember the bad stuff too, but I really like obviously the good stuff, right? So it's not just oh, Transformers is awesome. It's all the other stuff that came along with it. And I remember sitting there playing with, like I don't ever, my first ones that I remember having, my very first Transformers I remember having were Hoist, Dirge, and Bumblebee. I have no idea where they came from. I do not remember getting them for Christmas. I don't remember opening a box. I just always remember having them. I never remember Hoist having any tires. I never remember Hoist having any of the stuff on his back, or hands. It was just the robot. Bumblebee, he was fine. I mean, he's no accessories, no nothing. Dirge, no fist. I think I had the missiles, and I know I had the wings. And then just slowly adding to that, right? And then it's all the good stuff that comes with it, and it's the shenanigan kind of like kid crap, like we used to have a department store called Roses, and I remember trying to find the Dinobots because I mean, Gort, you love dinosaurs. You take a dinosaur, you take a giant robot, and you combine them. I mean, as a kid, that's just like great. and I could never find them, and then like I traded Blaster for a Grimlock, and then at some point my brother broke the Grimlock's leg off. And like that, and that's silly stuff. Like that brings up, like I remember when my brother would put, whenever he broke one of my Transformers, I know exactly where to go looking for it, because he would always hide it under this green chair in our library. All I had to do is, I can't find it. It's been 2 weeks. I guarantee you it was under there was something broken on it. And I think like with that kind of stuff, I've completely lost my train of thought now. But oh, I know it was roses. And like I remember just being so convinced. I saw a swoop, and it was on the top and it was on the back, and like they were stacked probably 15 high, like the G1 boxes, like what we consider deluxe now. They're probably stacked about 15 high, and they were probably about 6 rows across and about 5 rows deep. And this clerk, bless his heart, got a ladder, took down probably 30 of them, just for them to hand me something, and I can't remember what it was, but I knew it wasn't swoop. And he was cool. He was absolutely chill about the whole thing. He wasn't a dick about having to put them back or anything like that. But I'll give someone else a chance to answer. But short version is the TV, and then it led to the toys, and then it led to what you all see behind me, what's downstairs, meeting you all. I mean, next. Look, man, I love this stuff. I love the feels. I love finding that happy place, because there is so much crap in life, and you all know this. There's so much crap in life that just can kind of bog you down, and we as humans just have this negativity bias. We like to dig into all the problems. It's finding that thing that makes you happy, that makes you smile. That's what we need to really be looking at. And that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this, because, let's not lie. Last month, shit's gotten serious, shit's gotten real, shit's got heavy. And nostalgia always put a smile on your face. Nostalgia is what keeps us buying crap. Sorry, next.
So to answer E's original question, like what got me into the Transformers, what was it? I thought I knew. I thought it was the cartoon, but I'm sitting here thinking now. I'm really thinking, because Joe gave me a lot of time to think just now.
Well, don't hurt yourself, okay?
My camera's on. You see the smoke. I remember I used to be dropped off at a friend's house during the summer while my mom went to work, and I remember he had the toys and he had the comic books too, the 84's comics. And I do remember that, and I wonder if that has something to do with it, or the cartoon. But I'm really thinking back now. I remember he used to show. Oh man, talk about nostalgia. Like he used to I was 5 years old. I really couldn't read yet. He used to bring out the comics. I remember looking at all the pictures and recognizing everyone, and oh, this is really cool. I always looked forward to going every month. He had a new book, and I was always looking forward to sitting with him and going over the pictures and everything. It was really cool. He had a lot of the toys, but I do think it was the show that started everything for me. Definitely that cartoon. To answer your question there. What about you, E?
I already answered. I said it was a cartoon, 100%.
I'm sorry.
It was the cartoon for me.
He's so excited about getting buttons, he's forgot everything else. Go ahead.
It was the cartoon for me. But similar experience to you, Joe, going to the video store and renting the same episodes again and again and again. Ultimate Doom, 3-part on one VHS, though. That was definitely a highlight. I always like getting that, because you're getting more episodes, than some of the other tapes. Movie was one of them. But yeah, it was on TV, but it felt like it was infrequent. Like they were always shifting it around on time slots, like early morning. It was off. It was. I'm a little younger, so it was closer to off air for me. But around early 90s, like G2 popping up again, and I had just a handful of G1 toys by that time. That's where more of my nostalgia happens to be, because then it felt big again and it was readily available in the store again. And that first year, at least, you had repaints of all the G1 toys, before they started doing, spinning shit and color change shit and, all the gimmick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I love all the bright colors there. I'm more likely, I mean, I already own it all, but I'd be more likely to go pick up a G2 anything than like a G1, like that's my Bruticus. Disgusting purple camo. And I don't make any excuses for any of that. I just like it.
Yeah, I I remember getting Masterpiece stuff, and my first MPs were the Fans Toys Dinobots, and I sort of had those nostalgia feels with them, and that's, what are we talking here? 2018, probably 2019, probably when I started getting into MP. And that goes to my other part of the thing is you don't have to be a kid to have that nostalgia, to get those vibes. Like I was, I love that late 20 teens where we were getting third party stuff, and it was, the land of milk and honey, if you will, right? You look back on some of the stuff and you're like, oh, wasn't that great? Well, let's be honest with you, was G1 Hoist that great? No. But it invoked something in us, and it's just like when I'm got these MP Dinobots, I'm feeling those feels again. Like, yeah, it's probably it is because of those things, but it's a different looking at it through an adult lens. And like with EE, you talked about the Pepsi changing things, right? How they've changed things like that. I'm a cherry Coke person. I love cherry Coke. That's my soda. Now, to me, the best tasting cherry Coke was the cherry Coke that was in like the purple blue can with the red cherries, or the black, white, and I think red bars on it. And like, just when I talk about that kind of stuff, like that takes me back to, when we were at Disney World, we were in a specific hotel and watching the fireworks and all that kind of stuff, and I think, and this is where I was kind of thinking about with like this Cracker Barrel stuff, is just like with my mom telling me, how like she's going missing this gone or missing that gone. And how many of y'all's parents, like y'all have gone somewhere with them where they grew up and they're like, oh, so and so used to live there, and they'll start reminiscing about that.
Yep.
And I think this is that kind of, for what it's worth, whether, I agree with EE. I think a huge chunk of it is just people wanting to just, be very extra about the whole situation. But I think there are some people who this is what they grew up with. There's not much left for us, let alone for someone like our parents' age that are still around. I mean, you look just in our lifetime, we've had, we got the mid-level McDonald's updates, and that mid-level update, I think, is probably what most of us remember. That's the one where, the roof looked like French fries and it was all kind of shaped the same. Like, you knew, like, that's a McDonald's just based on the shape of the building. There's a play place out front to some level of things. Maybe it's this big, huge play place. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like the static, Fry Kids as chairs and Mayor McCheese and all that kind of stuff, right? And now you look at it and it's like a depressed emo kid. It's just like McDonald's has gotten itself very serious all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's just not even at all the same.
Yeah, Happy Meals are just mainly kind of meh meals. Now,
you're not in the Mick Cafe, Joe?
Huh?
You're not in the Mick Cafe?
No. My wife went by there because she's convinced the best Dr. Peppers are from McDonald's, so we always have to go by and get one. And they had the McValue menu, whatever. I don't know. There's something that they're doing, and it was like $16, $18 for the meal, and I'm like, that's bullshit for McDonald's. I'll go to an actual burger establishment that has damn good burgers and get something better for cheaper. But anyway, that's a side note. I'll go on tangent because I haven't been on the show because work's kept me off for 2 weeks, and I'll run my mouth. But that's my perception. That's my nostalgia of like the McDonald's aspect of it. Now, EE, you were talking about like your kid is looking at McDonald's like it's the greatest thing in the world. Can you kind of tell us what you're seeing with her, what's going through, if you're okay with that?
What am I on a fucking interview right now?
Yeah, that's how this works. I say something and then y'all say something.
Anyway, I don't like this format. But no, like this is what I was saying, right? Yeah, some things like that, like you're now looking through this through adult eyes, right? Um, and as you were sitting there talking about play spaces, right? I started thinking about my childhood. My McDonald's didn't have play spaces, right? I lived in
Really?
Manhattan. I lived in the city, and there's not room for that. And they don't have the room to build the play spaces, so I never went to a McDonald's with a play space, even as a kid. So I think that's very subjective, right? But like if you talk to my daughter, like you said, McDonald's is the greatest place in the fucking world. The Happy Meals that she wants, she still loves the Happy Meals. She still wants the toys, you know. And as you're saying $18. Well, guess what? As a kid, we didn't know how much our parents were paying. I bet you our parents might have been saying, "Damn, I'm paying X amount of money for a fucking Happy Meal. What the fuck?" But we're not. We're now in those shoes. We weren't in those shoes back then. We didn't see it the same way. Like me, like I have a 7-year old, an 8-year old, sorry. So I see what she sees through her eyes. Um, are there things that we had that I wish she did? Yes, I wish you could walk into a Toys R Us. She'd go ape. She'd be floored, right? Like we can't go into Target without her even asking. Like she has to just walk the toy aisle. I'm not buying, but she wants. So imagine her. I can just imagine her being able to walk through Toys R Us
Mm.
like we did, and the aisles of the toys, right? You know, that is something that I wish we still had for her. Going to the Macy's pop up Toys R Us that they do for the holidays now is not the same as walking into the big ass Toys R Us store. You know, my son was a little different. Um, he'll still eat McDonald's over anything else if you give him a choice. Um, but like he wasn't a toy kid, right? Um, I mean, this is a subject, I guess, for another day. Um,
Let her
the,
go.
the, no, 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 because it's going to totally change the subject, and I don't want to do that right now. But yeah, no. So like, I think that's part of like what you said. Like, you grow up, like beat the shit out of you. You fucking get bitter and jaded, and you just don't see things through a kid's eyes anymore. Which is why I am a parent who is very big on Christmas, and I'm very big on the whole Santa aspect of it all, right?
Mhm.
Being a kid, growing up, remembering the Christmases and excited for Santa, like I want my kids to have those memories, and that's where a lot of this collecting comes from. Those Christmas mornings, opening up my first He-Man, opening up my first Optimus Prime, those things are there. Fuck, Wolf take over or Gort take over for a minute.
Speaking of Toys R Us, I actually was when I was in Canada a few weeks back. I actually got to go into one of them. They're still open in Canada, and there was definitely a little nostalgia there. Like when you go through the automatic door, you got that familiar hallway, and you walk in, you're like, oh man, I kind of remember this. I'm kind of feeling it.
So is it like the original building style layout?
For the
Just
most
similar?
part, I got to be honest, it wasn't that. It was okay. It wasn't like a complete like replica of what we got into. Like there was a lot of older stuff, and when I say like a lot, I mean like a lot of like stuff that didn't sell. Like they had, you remember those Mario figures from the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like there were like shelves and shelves of those. A lot of stuff, a lot of like old Marvel Legends figures from like 3 years ago were still there. It didn't. The more you walk through it, the less it kind of felt like a Toys R Us. I got to be honest, it felt like more almost like a Target, because they had like a record section too, and like there was the clothes section. So it wasn't that complete experience. I got to say, I was a little at first. You kind of get it, but like the more you walk in and walk around, you're like, the itch is gone. It didn't last too long. It was kind of disappointing, and I've had other people tell me that as well.
So
Jeff has a question. Is FAO Schwartz still around?
my understanding is yes.
Gort, do you know? You live in that area. Do you know?
Yeah.
Still around? Okay. But good, Joe. You gonna say something?
So Jedi, we live close-ish, and in Maryland they're getting like it's one of the new 25 like big stores, not like the pop up in the Macy's, but I hope they do well just for the sake of what it is. Um, but yeah, like they're supposed to be a full size Toys R Us going in, and I don't know if it's supposed to be. I think it's next year maybe, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. Like I remember going into the one when we had BotCon in Jersey in the American Dream Mall, and I think that like it was neat to see it, but it was also like it just that it was like that weird layout. You know what I mean? It was like in a mall, 2 stories, like everything's window front for the most part, or just deep in the back. But I want to get those feels. I want to get those vibes. Again, and I think as adults we can. We do have to draw on that what we loved as kids. But and as stupid as it may sound, like the whole what's the saying? It's like you don't know the good old days are here until they're gone, kind of thing. I think it's looking for those now. When you find that, and like when we meet up, when we run into each other, where we're like, hey, let's meet up, hang out, whatever the case may be. That's where I try to find those. Like that's why I always try to be just super just excited to be there, taking the pictures, trying to remember everything. Because like right now in my mind, I'm like, these are the good days. These are the days that I'm gonna be thinking about fondly of nostalgia with you all 15 years from now. When it gets to that point to where, yeah, we can't make it because of X, or EE's thrown his back out because he sneezed. We get to that age. Gord's still got some time, so we're good. Wolfie tries to declare his house a sovereign country, like those kinds of things.
So no, I'm really wondering, how they're going to do it with this Toys R Us. Are they going to be able to replicate the old feelings, or are they going to copy that, or are they going to try something new? Or is it going to be like I said, the experience I had in Canada? And will it be successful? I don't know. I mean, I just, we've talked about this before. We're kids really aren't buying many toys these days.
No, when you look at a quarter of the sales are people our age, that does dip into it. But then look how much other crap is playing onto nostalgia that's out there for us. Transformers. We'll stick with that one. How much of Transformers is still aimed at G1 collectors versus Armada, Prime, Cyberverse, these newer things, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's one of those things. You're always going to kind of have Optimus Prime in some way, shape, or form. He's, it's those handful of core characters that are always going to be there. But, like construction equipment, like, yeah, kids love construction equipment, like little kids, right? But this, as well as I do, this is not marketed for kids. This is marketed for us because they're playing off those nostalgia feels. And, at some point, like this thing, we talk and we say, well, Armada is someone's G1, Beast Wars is someone else's G1, and I am looking forward to those other people that do start getting their fair share of the stuff that's out there. And you're seeing that now. You're seeing animated, you're seeing Prime and those kinds of things come out. And I hope it has those same kind of feelings for them, and what it invokes, I want to say that, like, at our age, you almost have to force it. Like it's good to get together, like when like Wolfie, like the other weekend when we all met up and we were up at Chan's and just hanging out, just having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's good to say this is, that we're having fun, but it's hard to sit and thoroughly enjoy the experience as adults, because there's always something going on, and I think we need to start looking for that. We need to start recognizing the good times before those good times get gone. So like I've talked about like some of the stuff, like, so like, can you all give some examples of like, things that you're getting those nostalgia feels as an adult for adult stuff, right? Something that you did 5-10 years ago, I mean, think of it like that, because those kinds of things are the other things that we got to start looking at too,
I'm nostalgic for the days my back didn't hurt. Does that count?
It could be,
10 years ago, God.
So, all right, for instance,
I would say video games are probably the closest that I have for more recent nostalgia versus something I grew up with.
so like what game, like what was it about that?
What is it that creates the nostalgia, or
Yeah, like you said, more recently, like, are you getting nostalgia? Is something new creating those nostalgia feels from the past? Is this something that like now you're kind of like, oh, you're doing this thing last
it's
week?
less so it's more about getting the experience again, replaying old games than new games coming out, creating the experience, because a lot of franchises, I think that they dropped the ball in terms of continuation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at something like Turtles came out with a side scroller, Shredder's Revenge. It was like 2 years ago, maybe more. I don't even know. It's not that long ago, but games like that coming out again, and it's not a new thing. Like they're always putting out like the retro type of stuff, or like updates, like side scrollers. Mario still does it, but those kind of games, I am more drawn to those, partly because it's what I grew up with, but also because they're simple and they're fun, and you could just pick it up, play it, and it's fun. I don't have to sit there for 100 hours playing a game, because that's the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like some kind of RPG. And I don't mind those games, but I don't want that to be all my games. And that's how it feels now, is everything is just, it's got to be long and epic and drawn the fuck out, and microtransactions, and go fuck yourself.
So, Gord, it's funny you bring up video games, because not too long ago I got a Switch too, and I signed up for the Nintendo thing where you can play the old games.
Uh-huh.
And I've been having a blast with that, especially because if you go to their website, you can order the controllers.
Yep.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Look at this. Keypad or arrow pad, A, B, and A. That's all we had, motherfuckers.
And it wasn't even rounded for your fingers.
Exactly. But no, like, just, I mean, playing Mario Brothers with this made me so fucking happy. Like, it's so stupid. Like, I remember having this controller. This was one of my favorite fucking things. And of course, we got to have the Super Nintendo. We got to have 64 and GameCube. I mean, like, I am enjoying playing the old games on these. It's little things like this are kind of helping me feel that joy, like I did back in the 80s. Like I'm having a blast right now with like just two little buttons, like. And like Gord said, a lot of video games these days, you got to go through levels like 6 times, and you got to make 100% achievement, get all the skins, find all the secrets.
I don't want my time wasted. I just want to have fun.
All I'm doing right here is killing everything and going to the right. I'm stomping on a Goomba, going to a right, going down a pipe.
Exactly. Throw turtle shells and fireballs.
I'm warping to Bowser. Like, I'm just like, it's simple, man. It's this simple little fucking thing right here. Like, it's just, I'm loving it. Like, I'm absolutely loving it right now. To give you an example of what I'm doing right now. So
I got a NES Classic and a Super NES Classic, and I love those things. And like I remember, like traveling for work, like when you change positions, you usually get a lot of training that year or the following year, depending on what position you're in. And so that was one of those years where I was doing a lot of traveling for training. And so I'd throw that thing in my bookcase or suitcase, and take it with me. And like I'm just plugging it up and just I remember going through like Super Mario World, just
Mhm.
going through leveling, and I'm like, oh crap, it's 3 hours later. I should probably go to bed. I have to be up early the next day, you know. And I think what I wanted to hit on with the nostalgia stuff is like we can have this as adults too. We can have this. Not when I don't mean like we have nostalgia as adults of when we were kids because things were simpler, right? But just that we can have that now and we can be, that adult nostalgia stuff that happened that 5 or 10 years ago. And this is a good example of it. Like, yes, you're pulling on stuff from when you're a kid, but when you're sitting down and doing these things, you can sit back, in 5 or 10 years and look back at like, this was a good time and that was a good time.
Mhm.
And, that's kind of what I do, when we have our, whether it's at a, like our Realm Nation and JCC, BotCon, TF, whoever's there, you know, and looking back finally on those things, so I
Mhm.
mean, it's one of those things. If y'all haven't started thinking about that, and part of it I think has to do with the stuff I've done through work and the stuff I teach to the kids, in that the mindfulness practices, being in the now. Don't worry about what's coming or what's past. It is, excuse me, when I get talking fast I get a little burpy. um being in the now, you know and I think that will help, for you all and chat squad, will help you start finding those nostalgia things that you lock in now so you can pull on them in 5 or 10 years when you're not, not just when we're kids, you know um
Mhm.
like I'm having a real good time with and I would have never thought this, right? So like here's a good example of like weird nostalgia, right? So EE was about Motu, and when I was growing up, I knew of it, right? Like, obviously, like as a kid of the 80s, you kind of at least knew a little bit about all of these things. Like, I knew who He Man and I knew who Skeletor was. Like, I really couldn't tell you about much of anyone else.
Mhm.
Like I knew who Lino was, right? And I know that there was a woman, and I know that there was a bluish gray guy, kind of thing, and there was a mummy looking dude, like for the Thundercats. Like, so you kind of had this realm um,
Rome.
of stuff.
Realm.
Did someone say
Sorry,
realm? Anyway,
you did.
Sorry. Apologies, everybody. Had to step away real quick
You're right.
hey,
like that.
you're good. Life happens. Um, but
Catch
anyway,
me up.
uh, so I'm talking about how like I'm getting to the point of like how like I had no connection to Motu as a kid, and I'm leading up to the point. Um, but when I started, my brother started, and my brother's 6 years younger than me, so he really doesn't have any connection, to my knowledge, of Motu. But he just liked the figures as an adult. So when Origins started coming out, he started getting like not necessarily mint on card. Like he'd go to the store and he'd buy those, but he would, leave them on the wall. He'd tack them to the wall. All right. And I was like, that seems kind of silly, but okay. And then I got a couple and I was like, this is really, really fun. Right. And then I started getting into Masterverse stuff. And now I've gone down that kind of rabbit hole. But the weird part is like, I'm feeling nostalgia for these things from my childhood, but I didn't have these things as a child, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's that kind of same missing link vibe with Transformers, where like you can actually do things with them now. Like I love that Bumblebee, right? But with Origins and Masterverse, it's in your brain, this is how you played with these figures. And correct me here, but like the original Motu figures had no, like they had shoulder articulation, head articulation, like neck, and then like thighs, right? Like not like thigh cuts, but like their legs would
They
just kind
moved at the thighs. They did move at the waist. Most of them with their punching action features. But that was about it. They were very limited. Motu Origins is basically the missing link of He-Man.
Mhm.
It's just
That's
it's the
accurate.
old designs, old molds, added articulation, elbow joints, knee joints, etc., etc. Um, yeah, that's basically what it is.
gotcha.
And I mean, question: like, do you feel like it's because of something you missed in your childhood that you didn't have? Is why you're feeling? Are you feeling nostalgic for what you didn't have? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't think so
Hmm.
because like I don't. there's not a whole lot that I can remember from my childhood that I'm like, oh, I wish I could have got those, or I wish I could have got that. And there are a handful, and Jedi mentioned, the Wheel Warriors. Like for some reason, I really liked, like my cousin had those vehicles, and I really, really, really like those things.
I had like one or two of them.
Yeah, and I'd really love to get those, and I'd love to see another company do an updated version of them. Um, but like I never had them, but I wanted them, kind of thing. I kind of want them as an adult, but with like Motu, like I never really in my mind had an attraction to Motu as a kid. Like I never remember being drawn towards it. I had one Motu figure, and I didn't even know there was a Motu figure at the time. It was Rio Blast, and then I had what's the Triceratops looking thing that's red, that's got the big ball in the arm that comes down?
Bashosaurus.
Dashosaurus, thank you. I had that.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
I had no clue that was a Motu figure. Like I just remember having this vehicle to things, right? And I think part of it is my parents just got me a lot of toys from yard sales, because I had like this big Robo Force vehicle, but I had no Robo Force characters. You know, um, but like as an adult, like I'm sitting here messing with this thing, and I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm posing it. I'm kind of like to a lesser degree playing with them, and this is going to sound stupid. It felt nice. It felt peaceful.
No,
You know,
it definitely doesn't sound stupid. At least not to me. Um, that was the question, right? That was what was going through my mind at RetroCon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking like, so we did not have much growing up, right? We lived in a small tenement building, one bedroom apartment. Me and my sister had bunk beds. My parents had a pull out sofa bed in the living room, right? There were no vacations. We never went to Disney. We never, there was, vacations was hop on the F train, go to Coney Island, right? In the summer. And I think my parents knew that at the time, right? That, other kids and things were different for our friends, and they were doing things and they weren't. So I think they made up for it when it came to like Christmas and birthdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, found out, my mother would start Christmas shopping in January so that they'd have enough for us under the tree for Christmas. Like, I will say I had a lot of toys. I had Transformers, GI Joe, Thundercats, but the He-Man, and this is where my attachment to He-Man comes in. It was by not even close to any. Nothing came close to how big of a collection of He-Man I had. Like I've gone through the list of the U.S. releases during that time frame. I had everything, every single thing released, even the Eternia playset, right?
nice.
I don't know. It was those two things. Like it's Motu and Laugh Super Mario Brothers, right? It will always bring me back to my mother because she made sure for some reason with He-Man she didn't miss anything. I guess she liked the toys for some reason. She thought they were cool herself. And when I bring up Super Mario Brothers, I just because my mother used to love playing Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, mine
So
too.
we used to play together nonstop as kids. The Nintendo games, there was a game called Teddy Boy on the Sega Master System. It was on one of the card games when you slip in the card. Just play that, me and her nonstop. Those were the games we played together, right?
You say Teddy Boy?
Teddy Boy, yes. Anyway, so
Remember them.
when it comes to Motu, it's like, the toys are the connection, right? I watched the show every time he came on. Don't get me wrong, as a fan, love the show, but it was the toys that are my connection, right? So as I buy the Masterverse figures, I was saying to myself, if it's the toys that are the connection, why am I not buying the toys? Why am I not buying that toy look, which is what Origins is supposed to give you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started questioning my collecting journey with Motu now. Um, should I be doing the toys? You know, but then I look at that Origins Battle Cat, and then I look at my Classics Battle Cat, and I'm like, yeah, the Classics is a lot cooler. Same thing. Like I got the Flock Panther from Origins at RetroCon, but then I look at the Masterverse Panther, and it's like, then it's like, what display? Then it's like, but Masterverse displays better. Masterverse. But then Origins has that the castles and the play sets that have been made. The thing, like I remember waking up that Christmas morning, so and I've shared the picture before. I was actually looking for it again tonight. I don't know where I saved it. It's a picture of me on Christmas Eve, standing there with the box with the Eternia playset. Right.
Yep.
It was a gift from my grandmother. Quote unquote. Based. I know how that went. My mother bought it and said, "Here, this is what you're gonna give her for Christmas." Um, and waking up the next morning, and my father had opened it up in the middle of the night, put it together, pulled out Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, and all the other He-Man vehicles and figures I had. He pulled it all out and had it all set up and ready. So when I woke up Christmas morning, it was there. Like that's those nostalgia memories for especially for He-Man. That makes me want to keep buying more and makes me think I might start buying Origins more. I don't know. I don't need two sets. I don't need two sets of toys. Two different representations. That's just too much.
Oh, of course you do.
But then again, and then it's like, well, if G.I. Joe is the toys, why am I buying classified? I mean, they're great figures, but if the toy was the nostalgia piece to it, shouldn't I be buying, I guess, Reaction Plus or like hunting down a vintage Joe line? Like I remember, when Wolf was hunting, was hunting down vintage Transformers, and Joe, your vintage Transformers, you're buying those also, right?
Yep.
So it's, it just makes me think like, wow, what am I doing? How should I be collecting? What is really making me happy? What is not?
I think, and this is just me. I think you go with what makes you happy, man. I mean, like we want to have something that looks good. We want to be proud of what we got, right? We want to say, "Oh, I've got this cool thing, and I've got that cool thing, and blah blah blah." And like here's the new. Like I've got right under the E there, and where I got Joe, like right there is the Masterverse Panther, and that thing looks freaking phenomenal, man. It looks beautiful. The box is beautiful. The artwork in the box is beautiful, right? And it's one of those things, if you got the space and you got the money, and I know you talked about having like limited space, we want to have that this is what looks good, right? We want to curate it. We want it to look good. We want people to look at it and go, oh, he's just not some weirdo who collects toys. Look, it's curated. It looks good, But on the flip side of those things too, I'm like the reason I started going in on my vintage stuff is because that's where my feels were. That's what got me happy. That's what, little Joe, when I was a kid, I was called JR. So that's what little JR would play with. And that's what, that's what I liked. And that's what I went after first, And it's one of those things that when it comes to the masterpiece stuff, right? And I started getting those same kind of vibes was, yes, it looks good, but it's also that this is how I played with it in my head, right? A perfectly good example of that is the Zeta Superion, right? Like it's G1 size, and it's got all the articulation that you need, and that's in my mind how I played with it. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I think you go with what makes you happy. If if you really want what looks good on the shelf, you go with that. If that's if that happiness outweighs the this was what made me happy then versus what this is what's making me happy now.
No, I was E brought up back when I used to collect the G1 and why you don't collect vintage lines. The problem with vintage lines is that's what it is. It's vintage. It's old, and like there's a lot of like maintenance you gotta have to do. Like if you did collect like the GI Joes, you got to change out O-rings, which isn't too bad. But and if you collect the classic Motu, you'd have to change out those rubber bands, which I've seen are a pain in the dick.
Yeah, like doing the Motu stuff is a lot harder than the GI Joe stuff.
Yeah, and it's like delicate and like a lot of that G1 stuff. Like I did, there was that nostalgia. Like I did love that I was finally having all this stuff. But like you got to be careful with that stuff. Like you can't transform things too often because the plastic's old. Like things get yellow. I mean, there's a lot of delicacy with collecting vintage. You got to really think about with that kind of stuff. So that's probably why I got out of that vintage. I don't know if that would prevent you from getting into it. If you think really,
I would never do the vintage GI Joes.
Yeah,
I mean the vintage He-Man. They're just no. Like we go to these toy shows all the time, and we see what the majority of the condition of the figures, not so much the vehicles, the figures are in, and it's just they're piled in people's cardboard boxes or bins and $5 a figure, and they're they just, those figures did not last well. They didn't last as a kid because I played with them, and they were constantly broken. Mm-hmm. I had so many He-Man figures that my father would just have to glue the legs on in a standing position, and it is what it is. But that's where I'm looking at Origins. It's like, wow, Origins, I could get a Castle Grayskull, a Snake Mountain, a Fright Zone. They're doing a Slime Pit. There is an Eternity. They redid the Eternity play set, and but oh man, then I look at the Masterverse stuff, and then I also look at my classic Snake Mountain, Grayskull, and I fucking love that thing. It's so much better than the fucking vintage Origins Grayskull. You could probably get away, honestly, using an Origins figure on those Castle Grayskulls and Snake Mountains from Classics, though. They're meant to be big.
Yeah, I think
you might actually even be able to get, He-Man still can't ride through the front door on Battle Cat, but
he couldn't walk in the original one. Couldn't he not walk through it? Like he had to put on duck him in or something like that, I think.
So, the original toy, the first mold they made, the door was too short and they had to fix it. You can get He-Man through, but that's about it.
Gotcha.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
interesting.
They had to go back and redesign it. Someone had fucked up.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I remember that stuck out with me when we did our episode on the Masterverse stuff and going back and watching that documentary.
Power Grayskull?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good He-Man doc.
Yep. So, and then I guess the last thing I wanted to hit on, unless anyone else has got anything for that.
No, I just wanted to ask a quick question because you brought up that your parents started Christmas shopping in January? Is that what you said?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Did anyone else's parents have like a Christmas club? You remember those? Like in the bank, they had like a special savings account. They put money in every month.
If we did, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, if my parents did, I didn't know. My mother would just store most of the stuff in my grandmother's apartment. She only lived like 2 blocks away. Throughout the year, she'd grab something on sale from the local. We didn't. There wasn't a toy at the time growing up when I was a kid. We didn't even have a Toys R Us in Manhattan. They hadn't opened up the Lionel Kitty City until I was a little older, and those things. So it was wherever she could find people selling toys in these local toy stores and whatever. She would grab something here, grab something there. Start stocking up.
I remember a couple times my mother used to put things on layaway, and I was there with her while she was doing it. And she's like, "This isn't for you."
Yeah.
My mom
Hey,
said the
hey, I
exact
think I
same
wanted
thing.
that. No, it's not for you. Don't look. And I'm like,
I miss layaway. I'm not gonna lie.
layaway. Oh God, I'm old enough to remember that. Jesus Christ, my back hurts.
But
Go ahead, Joe. What's your question you're going to ask us?
each generation has its own nostalgia about whatever, right? But do you think with as much media and as much content, because I mean, we went back and the episodes we did on what came out during what years during the 80s and stuff like that. Um, there was a lot of stuff aimed at us when we were kids. Do you think that we like that late Gen X, early millennial crowd probably has the most things to be nostalgic about when it comes to stuff of their childhood?
Gord, you all right? You're bumping around.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm playing with toys.
Oh.
I'm having nostalgias.
He's having nostalgia feels.
Don't interrupt him. I'm having nostalgias.
Sorry.
Continue, Joe.
Oh no, that's the question. Is late Gen X, early Gen Y, not Gen Y, crap, millennial. Do we have the most things to be nostalgic about because of so much media and so much toy lines, for lack of a better term, thrown at us?
I think that's
It's a broad question.
yeah, because and this leads into other topics like the death of Saturday morning cartoons and afternoon cartoons, things that we had that led to that nostalgia these kids don't have now. It's all online video game content, right? Especially, I mean, they had their iCarlys and their Game Changers and those type of shows. Henry Danger, Thundermans. These are the things that my son was watching as a kid. But when it comes to like the toys thing, having a 16-year-old and an 8-year-old, I can tell you my 8-year-old is way more into toys, being a girl than my son was. And again, I think that's just because of the advent of the way things are now. He was a Fortnite kid, a Roblox kid. Um, you know, they had those video games, and not only did they have the video games, they have the online connection now to their friends to play these video games together with. Something that we didn't have. If you were playing Nintendo, you were playing by yourself or playing with someone who had to be physically sitting next to you, right? They don't have those restrictions anymore. Like my son's toy phase was real short, real quick, and he was never into anything, right? It was just, and I had tried, there were turtles out at the time. He was like, no, not interested. Wouldn't want to watch anything about it. But, so like it's very different between my son and my daughter about what I think. My daughter, I think, is going to have more nostalgia for toys, franchises, and things like that, so to speak. Like, she's huge on the Monster High stuff, and Barbie is that property that has stood the test of time. She has her Barbie house and her Barbie jet and her radio control Barbie car that she crashes around the house. My son was different, and I don't know if it's all boys at his 16-year-old age now, but I can just speak for my experience from raising the two of them, how different they are and were with what they've been into growing up. So yeah, I don't know who's gonna have what they'll have that nostalgia about.
Yeah, I was going to say that brought me up to the question of what would the youth of today have to be nostalgic about? Because I work in a school with 10 to 13-year-olds, and it's so much of it is exactly that. It's mainly digital. And the kids, like this year, I do have sixth graders bringing toys to school. Um, they're bringing in like I've seen Sonic the Hedgehog, I've seen Legos. Um, I had a conversation with a kid, about Transformers, and he was just very, very excited to tell me about Transformers, you know, um, and it's kind of nice to see that imagination, to see that physical play and stuff like that. But the flip side of that is those kids tend to be ostracized a little bit from seems like the other groups. Um, so
Well, I mean, at that age range, to 10 to 12 to 13, right? It's kind of when you start maturing out of it for a while, right?
mhm.
Some kids are later boomers than others. I know by the time I was like 11, toys were, and for me it was, I gotta go play baseball. I got, my focuses had shifted, and I had started growing out of all that stuff by then. Um, but yeah, like I'm wonder if you worked, like my daughter don't bring her toys to school. We don't let her bring toys to school.
Yeah, don't.
Um, but I know she wants to sometimes, and she's young still. Um, I wonder if you worked with younger kids, if you'd see more of it than you did right now, and if there would still be ostracized, the 7, 8 year olds, so to speak, when they should still all be into toys.
So when I do go over, I do cover an elementary school and a Head Start pre-K. And the elementary school, you really don't see them. You really don't see. I know I'm not in the classrooms. I'm not there as much, but like at lunchtimes and stuff like that, you really don't see them. No, no, I keep a professional separation. Um, but at lunchtime and stuff like that, and in the halls, I have not seen. I don't recall off the top of my head seeing any. You know, Now that's what I want to see brought back is the J.C. Penney's and Sears catalogs. Like those were fun to look through. Gotta love
Yeah,
stuff that I know
definitely.
I'm not getting. See, Augie.
Man, Joe, to answer your question, I don't know, because I just think with each generation, it's different. We're all different. It's nostalgic for different things. Like, I mean, our parents are probably nostalgic for like old cars, driving theaters, and
Cocaine,
5-cent milkshakes and cocaine.
different
So
generation.
yeah, I mean, it's all different. Even the newer generation, I don't know. Like I'm not really in touch with like newer people. Maybe they miss like Tamagotchis and what else? I don't know.
Beyblade and fucking
Beyblade
Pokemon and
and yeah, there you go.
Pokemon is one of those things I would have never thought would have stood the test of time, but it still has.
Yes, it is, buddy.
Yeah, that's what they need to remaster and
well,
release.
it's the collecting addiction. It's the collecting addiction in people. That's what that's basically Pokemon is. It's collecting, collect, 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 collect.
Gotta
Got to
catch
catch
them
them
all.
all. Got to catch them all. You know.
Yeah.
And as a kid, like I mean, didn't we? Wouldn't we have wanted all the Thundercats and all the He-Man and all the Transformers and all the GI Joes if we could? I want to. We weren't you collecting Garbage Pail Kid cards and I mean, I remember as a kid they had cards for fucking everything. Garbage Pail Kids, they had the sticker books for Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th that we used to collect, and the Marvel trading cards, and comic books, baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards. Collect, 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 collect. And Pokemon is a perfect example of a way to collect, 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 and not take up space.
Yeah.
Unless you're collecting even the cards, it's just a card, But when you play the game, it's all in hell. It's all on your digital, your device, your your memory card on your N64 or whatever the fucking
How many Pokemon are there?
Too many.
It started out, the very first ones were 151, and they add, I think, about 100 every expansion.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 now.
Yeah. Pogs,
yes, Augie. Yes, I do remember Pogs. I was in that briefly.
Yeah, they were a flash in the pan.
I just checked 1,025.
Holy shit.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I think it was like 150 when they first started, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just said 151. You don't listen to me, Wolfie. What the heck?
You're right. I don't.
No.
Remember, I'm driving. I don't have to listen to anyone.
Oh.
A
little bit of power.
I know.
So.
We're about what, hour and 15 into this. Anyone else add anything you want to add to this? No.
Yeah, the Masters of the Universe Transformers crossover looks fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I pre-ordered that, and within 10
Why?
minutes, hold on.
Well,
hold on. You might be proud of him.
Within 10 minutes, I'm like, do I really need this? Is it like I'll be honest with you, the figure itself reminds me of a Garbage Pail Kid, but what kind of sold me was that sword.
It's funny because it does belong in the garbage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where it belongs.
Joe, to be fair, I didn't hate it, and I did have it pre-ordered for a second, and then I just like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, it's gonna be like $38 after shipping by the time it gets here, and I'm like, if I saw it in the store for 15 or 20, I might, but I'm not willing to. And let's be honest, like, $40 for Mixmaster, it could very well be that point of where I'm like, I'm happy with what I got. I'm going to get super selective about what I get, and just be done with it.
Well, like the increasing prices is one thing, but you talk about something like this Motu Transformers crossover, or there was Motu Turtles crossover, and there's the Thundercats, all going on. What this stuff is, this is predatory nostalgia. and that's
predatory.
Yes.
Word.
That's a whole other discussion. We've been pretty positive. I'd rather not get negative right now. I think we could save that though.
All right, we got a few minutes. Let me ask a question. What else do you think Motu can cross over with?
Oh, I think it cross over with anything they wanted to. You just
Let's see.
They've done WWE, they've done Ninja Turtles, they've done Transformers now.
G.I. Joe.
They could do that.
They could do G.I. Joe. They could do Marvel.
Mr. Potato Head.
I bet you there's a He-Man Mr. Potato Head out there.
Mr. Potato Head did it with Prime or Transformers.
I think what else is left. They did Thundercats.
Pokemon.
They could do Marvel. They could do DC.
McFarlane.
They did kind of do back in classics. They did have those 2-packs. I mean, they weren't crossovers, but they could do that. And
well, there was
He-Man.
He-Man.
They did the license back too. So
there was the He-Man versus DC comics, which I think inspired all that.
yes.
Quick question, since we're talking about nostalgia. One answer each. Wolf, one franchise you could bring back, what would it be?
Bring back, like
real quick.
Thundercats, sure.
We have Thundercats though.
Oh, you meant like this? It's not been brought back?
Yeah, like Thundercats, like Super 7 and Thundercats. One franchise that you could bring back right now if you could.
God. Oh fuck! What were those? The goddamn
Spoons.
No, the fucking.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Joe.
Dinosaurs.
Gort.
Dino Riders.
Okay. Inhumanoids for me.
That's it, Jeff. Visionaries. Thank you, Jeff.
Visionaries. Okay, that's the one.
Yes.
Those are the ones
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. This reeks of Visionaries.
I don't know why I was doing that. Like I just.
There you go. Bring back Inhumanoids. That's what I'm talking about.
Monchichis, get the hell out of here.
What the hell's a Monchichi?
Google it.
Boo-boo.
Yeah, it's a little boo boo.
Is it like a Labubu?
Very similar.
Pops.
Just it's safe. Just Google it.
Wait, no, I changed my answer. Food fighters.
Food fighters.
The food fighters. Yeah.
Yeah, now the spoon makes more sense.
Yeah. Now this,
Yeah.
I had to make it make sense.
There's a crossover: food fighters and visionaries. But yeah, visionaries.
I
was big.
believe someone teased Visionaries. I'm not too sure.
Was it Nacelle?
Maybe.
That sounds like something they would do.
Joe,
They did
I
brought
think
back
me,
sectors.
you, and Gort are out of luck. They're not. They won't be bringing back Inhumanoids. No one's bringing back Dino Riders.
Nope, it's not happening.
So at
I don't.
RetroCon, I actually saw 4 of the Dinosaur figures. They were being sold as a set for $200.
Those were knockoffs.
Oh, they were.
Oh, those are they look. Yeah, they're cheap crap knockoffs.
They looked old and beat up and good.
This one's
No,
interesting.
No, they were just painted
They
in
make
a
those.
kind of factory probably like a year ago.
Now the MASH stuff, they are out there. MASH stuff is out there. I saw them at RetroCon last year. I didn't even know they existed, but like there was
They were
figures,
knockoffs
there was
too.
a playset and blah blah blah. You're a knockoff.
I'd pick up a Hawkeye figure and a BJ Honeycutt figure. I would. Tiger Sharks.
Tiger Sharks.
Yeah,
I think that's the one cartoon that, like, once it was canceled, like it never got any DVD or any VHS releases. I think it just went away. Never aired again. People didn't like it that much.
I'm trying to think of what Tiger Sharks is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jace.
It's like
Warriors.
It's like Thundercats, but it's in the water.
Yeah, now I got it now. Yeah, I pulled it up. Like, I recognize the main character. But again,
Jace died when it was over. Dino Riders died when it was over. And Humanoids died before it ever even started. No one watched that cartoon. It was actually absolutely fucking terrifying for kids.
What about the Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, I mean, Dungeons and Dragons isn't a dead franchise by far. Not even close.
Well, I mean, like, but the one that we grew up with.
what about it?
Hasbro just made the toys. They
That's
just
true.
made a bunch of the figures.
And there's
Whether
something
they did a good job of them or not, they just made a bunch of figures.
I really wish they
So-
would have put out the last episode that never made it to air. They had a thing planned up for it. Like the kids were actually going to get to go home. There was like a really dark episode from what I heard. You remember that?
Yeah, it was it V'ger was actually one, like a kid that grew up that got brought back like them, and the dungeon master actually he was the villain the whole time kind of thing, and that's why V'ger was always opposed to him or something like that. But yeah, it was interesting.
Are there Micro Machines again?
I want to say I've started seeing stuff, but I don't know if it's the old stuff. Stand by.
Power of the Force 2. Okay. D&D was cool. Those figures, they were horrible, Jeff. I agree. It made me sad. I love Micro Machines. You guys have Micro Machines?
I had a couple.
I had they had like the little play sets. I had like all of those. You can make the big city with it. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun.
Yeah, they do, because remember they had a Transformers crossover at Target. So
Did they?
and yeah, I'm
I
looking
don't
at them here on
remember that.
Amazon too. So yeah, Micro Machines are still a thing.
I do remember this, Jedi.
Oh, exciting news! I got the Tyrannosaurus for my Megazord, $20, and it was like an hour and 45-minute drive round trip. So now I'm just waiting on the pterodactyl to come in next week. Look, it's a giant transforming robot. I'm happy.
That's all that matters, Joe.
Yeah.
All right. It's been almost an hour and a half here. I think we're good to go. Thank you, Chat Squad, for coming down memory lane with us and joining us this evening. Thanks, Joe, for a good topic. That was fun. Looking back and what we used to love and we'll love again, I'm sure. But let's go around the yard, say our what's up, say where we can find you. Joe, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me here every other Friday in the show, and then every other Friday and most nights for hangouts. Find me in the Realm. Find me on Facebook. If I don't accept your friend request right away, don't be upset. It's just I'm selective until I meet you, right? So there are a couple of people that have sent me friend stuff, but it's nothing personal. Just I like to meet people first. Enjoy. Like I'll say this to the group and to the chat squad, and anyone else that goes back and watches is notice when you're getting those nostalgia feels even now, and take note of that and be in the moment, and you'll be happy later.
E Prime.
You can find me here every Friday night.
Gort.
I'm here. I'm playing hide and seek, just like my favorite TV show, Alien Earth.
Ooh, that's gonna trigger someone.
I hear there's an alien whisperer in that.
Don't watch that show.
Oh, I don't. I've not seen any alien.
That's some of that predatory nostalgia.
You should get that tattooed somewhere. Like Iowa.
Anyway, you can find me, Eric Von Wolfenstein, on all your social media needs. Maybe coming soon to a town near you. Each and every Friday here on the Realmhattan Project and the ROC YouTube or broadcasted hangouts, which we will have one next week. EE Prime, are we doing an after show hangout tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I'll put up a link.
Look for the link in the groups. Thanks everyone for joining us. Had a real fun time driving. Can't wait to do it again. And we will see you guys next week. Hope I do this right. Clicky clack.
Deuces.
How do I play the outro?
Just hit
the button that says outro.
I did.
No.
Hit it again.
End stream.
It'll play the outro?
Hey, hold on.
Just hit end stream.
Yeah. Play.
Alt
Sorry.
Alt
I'll
F4.
get it. I'll get it right.
It's only one.
Say it with me now.